Welcome to the OnlyFans Secrets Marketing Podcast. The goal of this podcast is to help both new and established OnlyFans creators learn the basics of online branding, marketing, and promotion to help you make more money with your content and maximize your time online. My name is Richard Lewis, and I have over 20 years of internet marketing experience. All right, so let's get started with today's topic. And that topic is 33 ways to promote your OnlyFans in 2022. All right, so in April of 2021, I wrote a blog called 33 Ways to Promote Your OnlyFans, which has now been read by thousands of OnlyFans creators over the last 11 months. It was the first blog article I wrote on OnlyFans after doing this podcast for a few months. I never devoted a podcast episode to the topic, and I wanted to go back to this list and revise and update it for 2022. So in this episode, I'm going to discuss the 33 ways to promote in 2022, as well as the key platforms you want to be using for promotion online in 2022. And as always, you can go to the SEO Bounty blog to follow along with the discussion at seobounty.com/139. That's seobounty.com/139, where you can follow along with this podcast through the blog. All right, so the 33 ways to promote to your OnlyFans page in 2022. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go back over this list and possibly revise or update as I go along. All right, so number one was to set up your Twitter page. All right, so I stated, yes, it's essential to your success on OnlyFans. Now, I placed that at number 1 in 2021. Perhaps I would put TikTok higher now or another platform, but that's number 1. And I still believe that setting up your Twitter page is very important for your success on OnlyFans. And then number 2 was look for other creators on Twitter. All right, so basically I say it's easy to find them. You do searches for SW Train and you'll see other creators. Twitter is a great way to network with other creators who have fans you can promote to. All right, now I will update this in the fact that SW trains are not as popular as they used to be. Just overall interaction for Twitter isn't necessarily down, but it's definitely being put into different places. So the best way to look for creators now, I would recommend just type in OnlyFans in the search bar on Twitter, and you will see creators constantly tagging themselves that way. So you'll get an update, and obviously you want to click on newest and latest on Twitter. So then you'll get the posts that are coming through. That's a great way to find new creators as well as old creators that you can collaborate with and just generally talk to. All right, number 3, it states RT for RT on Twitter. So that's retweet for retweet on Twitter. And I state use this sparingly, but it can help you gain traction when starting out to share retweets with other OnlyFans creators. Right, so I still do believe that retweet for retweet on Twitter is a good idea. What you want to look for is someone with comparable numbers to you. So if you're just starting out, that's a little more difficult. So you would want someone who maybe is going to be willing to retweet you with 500 or 1,000 followers. It's going to be very unlikely that someone with 10,000 or 50,000 followers is going to think it a good idea to do a retweet for a retweet if you only have 5, 10, or 20 followers. I get that a lot at OnlyFans Hero, where people contact me and say retweet for retweet. Where OnlyFans Hero has over 150,000 followers, and they might have 20. It's not the best approach for the DMs. You might want to offer something besides just RT for RT with someone. Overall, OnlyFans Hero does not retweet anything, or any individual pages. So no matter what, that wouldn't work for my page. But for independent creators, you just might want to sweeten the deal a little bit if your numbers of followers are so much less than the person you're asking to retweet with. But it still is a huge opportunity, especially if you can get someone to retweet you. I'm not saying that you should sweeten the pie with possible tips on OnlyFans, but it wouldn't hurt. Definitely you still want to use retweet for retweet on Twitter. And then number 4, I state start following people on Twitter. Okay, so as I state in the blog, some will follow you back, and that will increase the likelihood people will share your posts. Okay, so I definitely feel like you should follow people on Twitter. Keep in mind that if you're too aggressive with your following on Twitter, Twitter will still allow you to follow, but it will not alert the person that you followed that you're following them. That's kind of the whole key there. So if someone checks their Twitter often and sees who is now following them, they might go check you out and decide to follow you back. If you're too over aggressive with your following, they no longer will get that alert, and you're basically just following people to follow them, which is what you're supposed to do to begin with. But certainly if you're trying to get the attention of other people with the whole follow for follow concept, if they're not getting the alert anymore, it's pretty useless. So just be careful with that. And also, one great thing about following people on Twitter is after that you can DM them. So for a lot of people, they don't allow a direct message unless they are following you. So that's for a lot of people. I don't recommend that. I say it's better to go ahead and have your DMs open all the time. It's easier to just filter through and block and delete people because you will get some rare gold nuggets in there in your DMs of people who are interested. Maybe they just have a question about your OnlyFans. Maybe they have a question about custom content. I just feel that it's worth it as someone who goes through every day and cleans out the Twitter. I'll have to open up messages that look like they are worthless, and they will turn out to be someone who is really interested in OnlyFans promotion. And you really can't tell that the way that Twitter is set up. And if I closed my DMs and only made it so people who follow me could DM me, I would lose out on a lot of business. So I do feel that it's worth it to do that. And as I said, once you are following that person and they are following you back, you're now able to DM them. As a creator, you might want to ask them, as I just mentioned about retweet for retweet, or just, hey, you just really like their content and want to let them know you retweeted them, which creates a whole, new engagement for you as a creator. So definitely following people on Twitter is a good idea. Okay, then number 5, it states, create a pinned post on Twitter. And then I say, make it something people will want to retweet and something you'll want others to see when you do. And I did a whole episode about your Twitter pin post for OnlyFans of this podcast, so feel free to check that out if you really want a whole detailed thing about how to do your pin post on Twitter in the best way. But overall, you definitely want to create that pin post. That's what so many people are going to see. That's what they're going to end up probably retweeting. It's going to be your strongest post. It's going to include, links to your OnlyFans or to other sites that you have. It should be using some of your strongest pictures as well. So overall, I highly recommend that you create your pinned post and you pay a lot of attention to it when you do it. And how often you update your pinned post, it really depends. I like to think of the pinned post as something that creates a status in the minds of people. Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. So if you can keep that pinned post up there for a while and get hundreds or even thousands of retweets or likes, it's going to be more likely that someone is going to want to retweet and like it. That's just how people are. If you really have some new links or new pricing or something like that, I honestly wouldn't put pricing into your pinned post because, again, you're going to change that a lot. So I would just make it more focused on your links and the information you want to get out there than something that could a variable that could change, like your pricing. So definitely want to take the time on your pinned post because that's going to get a lot of interaction on Twitter. And then number 6, as it states in the blog, comment on other people's posts on Twitter. And I state, yes, both creators and subs notice these comments. All right, so I will say that there's a lot of comment spam that ends up for creators, OnlyFans creators inside their comments. People get mad if you comment on promotion. There's a lot of rules that you want to kind of follow there, a lot of etiquette rules. So just be careful where you're putting your comment. When it comes to other creators' posts, you don't want to put, your picture there or make it seem like you're trying to promote. But it never hurts to reach out, especially if the person doesn't have their DMs open, you're really interested in collaborating with them, you think that each other's audiences would really appreciate the other, you might just want to reach out on someone's tweet with a comment, and then once they reach out to you through the DMs, it doesn't hurt to go back and delete that comment, especially so that they know that you're not trying to promote in their space. But that's a good way to get attention from people, especially, as I've mentioned, fans. So if you comment on a fan's Twitter, they're going to be very surprised by that. That's going to be a good way to build rapport. So just be careful. You don't want to be, again, too aggressive or too spammy with this. You want to take the time to message the individual, not just, placing the comment underneath that just seems like promotion. If you're going after the fans, tweets, especially make it topical to what they talked about. That's always the best strategy. All right, then number 7, as it states, add your pictures and links to OnlyFans promo posts on Twitter. And then I say there are hundreds of posts every day on Twitter for creators new and old to drop their links and pics for potential subscribers to see them. So one of the big things that I tried to do with OnlyFans Hero was make it so that there would be a tweet for promotion every 10 minutes. Now, I've had people ask me why I did that, and most of the time, it seems like, oh, okay, why would you do that? Well, what I saw was when I first came in that people were there would be one post, and then there would be 500 comments underneath with links. And it just felt like it was just going to get lost. Like, who's going to scroll, like a search result on Google, who scrolls past the first 10 results? They're going to find the first 10 results, and then they're just going to find someone they like and then move on. And then all the people underneath, the other 600 some odd people, or whatever would happen, or numbers would happen, would get lost. So what I felt is that it was important to do one every 10 minutes, because if you have 20 or 30 replies, well, then the next one's going to get 20 or 30 replies. So if someone just happens to be on, they're going to see that. And it also helps that the people who just replied are likely on Twitter at that moment. So they'd be able to reach out to you through your DMs, through comments. And it's more likely for the fans to connect with the creator, and it's more likely for the creator to connect with the fan. So very much